Hello, Maverick traders, and welcome out to your weekly currency room. This is Ankit here, and I'll be breaking down this week's price action and talk about our upcoming week ahead. Let's get into it. As always, I'll be taking a look at broader market analysis, taking a look at what moved the markets, what the news were, what the currency basket is telling us, and then we'll take a look at some possible setups ahead. Let's get into it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the Apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So one thing I must say is that we are glad that the elections are behind us because it really caused a lot of jitters in the markets in the last week. And as you can see that we had a pretty epic end of the week. So the equity markets surged to new highs and we had the biggest weekly gain in the broader markets in 2024 after that Trump win. So this was, again, the best case scenario for the markets, and that's what we got. So overall, pretty big week. We also saw a big break in Bitcoin as well and other cryptos. So this Trump win was also pretty good for the crypto market as well. Now, where tricky part was, it was in the US dollar and in the yields. So US dollar is mostly flat for the week, but then we have the yields, they actually did pull back. So there's a bit of a disconnect there, but we have the FOMC behind us. They cut rates by 25 basis points. The election is behind us. So we're trying to figure out where the next big move is. And the way we ended is not giving us a clear direction on where the yields wants to go and where the dollar wants to go. Now, if we take a look at the news events, again, everything was sort of overshadowed by the election. We had the RBA on a Monday night, really no big mover on that one. They remain hawkish, and we're seeing them still using a cautious approach. So I must say that the RBA continues to hold on to its stance. And they're one of those, more neutral to hawkish central bank out there. Now, outside of that, the election results came out, and that was, again, caused a lot of movement. So the Kiwi employment report was not really, impacted at all. We had the Bank of England rate cut, and, they cut as expected. Really no movement off of that. And we also had the FOMC that cut rates by 25 basis points. And again, no big movement off of that either. So again, a lot of this was already priced in, and markets were mostly focused on with the election outcome. Now let's just jump into our last week review and take a look at where we are percentage wise. And you can see that this was a massive week in the equity markets. S&P up 4.78%, Qs up 5.5%, cryptos are up 12.78%. So pretty big move in the crypto and the equities. Now gold, which has been running for some time, did pull back, and then we're seeing the oil market slightly up. So oil's really not going anywhere, but then the gold was a notable move on a weekly basis. So pretty good performance across the board. Like I said, it was one of the best week in the equities for 2024. Now here's the performance in the currency market, and I must say that this doesn't do justice on what exactly happened. You can see that dollar slightly higher, yen slightly higher. We had the biggest down move in the euro and the Swiss franc, and you can see pound was flat, CAD and Aussie they closed higher as a currency basket, and Kiwi was flat. But if you take a look at the intraday move, the dollar had about a 1.5% range from top to bottom. Now that's a big range to deal with, and if you take a look at any currency pair, Aussie dollar or Kiwi, they all had a pretty big range to deal with this week. Now, if you take a look at the crypto markets, you can see Bitcoin, a massive 12-point gain. And take a look at the Ethereum, playing a bit of a catch-up to the Bitcoin. I think this could be a bit of a catch-up trade as Bitcoin breaks to new all-time highs. I think the Ethereum is sort of following the lead there. Now, Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin is still in there, but I think you can see that's pretty clear where the money's going. Now, let's just jump into our market analysis, and let's just take a look at where we are for the upcoming week. And as you can see that we are a +3. This is a massive move in the equity markets, broke out to new highs. So at this point, we are closing out at the top of the weekly gain here. Are we going to keep running straight from here? No, we can see some pullbacks. We can see some sideways move. But again, I think those could be just shorter term, good buying opportunity. It does look extended, and I think that's the issue with these markets. When you have no resistance in place and you just keep breaking new highs and new highs, that's a tricky market where you don't want to get in at the top, but you don't know where is the top going to be. So I think markets are pretty clear here. This is the prior resistance, which is now the support area. So at this point, as long as it stays above that level, I think it's going to be continue moving higher. Now, if you take a look at the yields, and I think this is where we got a bit of a mixed picture. We had the yields that had been running for some time going into this. Everybody talk about this could be a Trump trade. You can see that we got an election result right here. And after that, 2 days of consecutive losses. So what is it telling us? This is just telling me that maybe yields wants to pull back from here. Now, it's still early to call because we haven't either broken the resistance or the support. So if you really look at the body of that candle, this is where we are. I don't really have a strong call. I mean, the only thing I'm looking at right now is that if it breaks below, we are right at the 20-day moving average. And if that starts to dip lower, I think that's going to alleviate some of the strong pressure that we are seeing in the USD. So the way we are ending is very undecisive. It's just like, we're looking at the markets and everything looks a lot clearer. The way the dollar and the yields are looking, it's a bit unclear. Now, here's another clear breakout that we have. This is a crypto basket. We can see that it's just, we had a nice move here. But then if you take a look at the Bitcoin chart, I mean, they look much better, and even the Ethereum chart. Now, let's just take a look at the next week events that potentially could spark some of the movements. And the only thing I can really look at now, again, we have the election behind us, we got the FOMC behind us. The only thing that could really move things is some of the inflation number out of the US. I've talked about how the inflation number is coming down across the world. With the US, we haven't seen that rapid decline. We're seeing a slow movement. Sometimes there's no change, but we're not really seeing a negative inflation. So if this inflation number comes out weaker, that's just going to put some pressure on the dollar. Maybe the yields will pull back. If this comes out stronger or stays, on the higher level, then we probably see the dollar and the yields stay strong. So I think we need a little bit more of a clarity from that point on. FOMC, we're status quo. I mean, they are expected to cut rates again. It doesn't seem like that's having a big impact. So we'll see what happens next week. It's indecisive at this point. We also have the RBA, the Aussie Employment Report. They're looking at no change, a slight weaker report. So we have that one on the docket, and we have the U.S. retail sales. You can see that outside of that, all the data really hasn't been a big surprise one way or the other. So our job is to always make sure the data is on the horizon, make sure you're adjusting your position for it. And, sometimes you'll see a big move and sometimes you see a big move. And usually that's around a misses or, when they miss expectation or they go way above expectation. So we'll take a look at it and see what happened next week. So our outlook, again, looks pretty bullish. Again, this is a time, it happens every year. Take a look at it. We always talk about, is it going to be a year-end rally? A lot of performance chasing happens and a lot of money get put to work. Because the quarter needs to close, the books needs to close for the year end. I think that's really where the focus now is going to be for the markets. So pullbacks, they are going to happen, but they will be short-lived. Overall, I think markets likely to stay higher. Nothing on the central bank end, and we have some of the data here. But again, we'll continue watching the dollar. I think that's really the big play here, dollar and the yield. Now let's just jump into our currency analysis. Let's start with the crypto, and then we'll jump into the currencies here. And here we are with the crypto. You can see that the Bitcoin had a massive breakout, all-time highs. It's sitting at about 77,000 level here. I think this probably continue moving higher. Pullbacks like to do bought. Remember, this is what happened when you start to get a direction in place. You start to get higher high and a higher low, and that's just the way things go. If you take a look at the velocity, and this is again a promising sign that after a breakout, we didn't see any pullback. We didn't see any profit taking. Which is again telling me that there's probably more legs behind that move. We are looking at Bitcoin Cash. Again, chart-wise, doesn't look good. I think Bitcoin probably look better. Now, the other trade that actually looks interesting here to me is the Ethereum. And this thing had a nice little breakout as well. So I like this more to the upside. I think if there's a catch-up trade, we want to take a look at the difference between the Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think we'll want to see if this will have more legs behind it. You can see that this thing kept running on a velocity. So it's just showing us that this is playing a little bit of a catch up here. Now, last one is a Litecoin. You can see this thing doesn't look good on the chart here. I think it's pretty clear Bitcoin and Ethereum are the only two better looking cryptos here. Now, let's just jump into the Forex outlook here. Now, the FX, we can see that this is in an indecision sort of a situation here. We got a big candle here after the election. We got a big down candle here, and now been another candle inside here. So this is, again, the price action. It's telling you, well, it could go either way. If it's going to break, it's going to break below the support. So I'll draw a price line here. If it's going to break out above, this is, again, a nice massive resistance level on this US dollar basket that goes back a few months. If it breaks above it, again, then we want to be looking for more bullish. Right now, we're in the consolidation phase. You can see that even in the velocity, it's a lot of back and forth. So whenever you see something like that and you're looking for a direction, this is a good time to sort of be on hold and let the price tell you when to get it. On the other hand, we have the Japanese yen. You can see it's just back in the consolidation phase. You would expect with that massive move this week, the yen probably be moving lower, but you can see that that was not the case. So this is probably consolidation here. We are still in a downtrend. The only time this will break that downtrend is, if it start to rise above that 20 to 50, we can see that we are right at the 20 moving average. So this is, again, no indication that it's right to make that big U-turn. But at the same time, if I want to go short, I want to look for this, low base to short off of. So it's not really ready yet. So the one trade that I do like that looks like it's ready is the Swiss franc. And you can see that Swiss franc had a nice 3 days of a drop. We had a bit of an inside candle today. And even though today's candle, it didn't really hold on to the gains here. So I do like the Swiss franc going forward to the downside, especially in the next month or so. So this one outlook is, trend is a -2. I think this will probably continue in that direction. On this velocity chart, we're getting a sideways price action here. So as soon as it breaks below the support, I actually like this more on the short side. Same thing goes with the euro. And you can see that euro has some key support levels that it needs to break. And if it breaks below that level, this again will become a clear on the bearish side. You can see that this thing on a velocity is going sideways as well. So this thing looking pretty good here. So we got to pay attention to the euro and the Swiss franc crosses. Now, the British pound, you can see it hasn't gone anywhere. I mean, take a look at this tight, narrow range in the velocity chart. So not really no action here. I don't want to jump on something that's not moving. But again, if the velocity picks up, remember the trend on the pound still remain positive. Now, here we are with the CAD and similar price action. We are now getting a breakout one way or the other. A lot of consolidation here. So I given it a 0 because if you take a look at it in the direction wise, this thing is not breaking out. This is moving in a range. So until it wants to really break out, that's where I want to jump in. And remember, I'm taking a look at that dollar CAD as well. Dollar is still in the lead because the dollar CAD is still above that 139 area. If it gives up that 139 area, it gives up that 20 moving average, I think in that moment, we'll probably see dollar underperform and CAD outperform. And we have seen that happen over and over. If you look back in the time frame, this happened over and over again. So we want to be making sure that we make a switch when that switch happens. But as of now, dollar remains in a lead and the CAD remains on the sideline. Now, Aussie, I must say that Aussie was looking really good yesterday, and I really liked it for the next week. And then we got this nasty candle today. What was the reason behind the candle? Well, no clue. I mean, no news, nothing. We got a massive across-the-board sell-off in the Aussie here. So what is it telling us? I think if we just take a look at it, we're still range-bound here. The direction is now sideways. We are right in between those moving averages there. If it continues to break lower, I think that's when we want to be on the shorter side of the Aussie here. We don't want to get caught up too much in the fundamentals because, RB is behind us. Question is, where is the Aussie going from here? Right now, I think it's pretty unclear. Now, let's go into the Kiwi here. Well, similar situation here. This is going sideways. It's wedged in between that 20 and the 50 moving average. So in these situations, all you got to do is take a look at the high of the candle and the low of the candle from Wednesday. Whichever side it breaks first is going to have a follow through towards it. So I think that's really where I'm sitting here. I know we have a bit of a range to deal with, but I think if you don't want to get chopped around, it's better to let the range clear out. Now, this is the trend score here. We got 4 on the downside and we got 1 on the upside. And we got the pound, the second one here. So remember, we like the Swiss franc and the euro here a lot more. Kiwi and the Aussie, I think they will break one way or the other once it clears out of the support area. But I really like the Swiss franc, the euro short here. Along with, we have the yen as a -2 as well. But remember, that's also consolidating. We also have the CAD and the Aussie in the middle. So there's a bit of an indecision here. Now, pay attention to the dollar, because if the dollar moves one way or the other, let's say if the dollar continues moving higher, it's going to put downside pressure on the Aussie and the Kiwi. If that pulls back, then it's going to move things around, where we'll probably see the Aussie move to the right, maybe the Kiwi move to the right. But at this point, it's pretty hard to make that call because the price is not telling us, or giving us a clear outlook. And here we are with the velocity. You can see on a day like today, we're seeing good moves in Euro, Aussie, and the Kiwi here. The yen having a surprise move to the upside. So Friday, I've noticed lately, has been really one of those off days where, you get some big moves one way or the other. They don't always jive in with what's happening in the markets. But, as the week closes out, we want to see how things start next week and then go from there. So meanwhile, let's just take a look at possible trades ahead and let's take a look at some setups.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
Now, in the possible trades ahead, let's just take a look at dollar CAD first, because it's consolidating at this key resistance level. So remember, I've been talking about this 139. Go back in time. This is a multi-year resistance. Every time it has hit that level, you can see it has bounced or reversed pretty hard. Is this the case this time? Well, you can see that it's pretty unclear. So this is how it's going to go. It's going to either continue breaking above that 139.50, then that will be confirmed breakout to the upside. And if it gives up below that 138.50 area, 138 area, then that will mark a bit more downside here. But at this point, it's pretty unclear. Now, that will be the first one to pay attention to, and also pay attention to so you can see if you want to go with the dollar cross or if you want to go with the CAD cross. Now, Swiss franc is the one, like I said, I like it more to the downside. This thing is not clear, or it's still range bound. But remember, this is a key support area that we are dealing with here. If it breaks below this support area, that will become a lot clearer. But if you look at the velocity score here, it's moving nicely onto the downside here. So we'll take a look at setups like dollar Swiss franc. So, always prepare best in the worst case scenario. For the best case scenario for the dollar, let's say the dollar breaks out next week. Which currency pairs looks the best? I think dollar Swiss franc is looking pretty good here. Look at the consolidation phase that we were dealing with. And we broke out. We had an inside candle, now looking bullish here again. This thing, it can easily, if it breaks above it, will be confirmed breakout further. You can see that on our weekly chart. This still have a lot more room to run towards that 89 and the 90 area. So pay attention to the dollar Swiss franc. We can also pay attention to euro dollar. Take a look at this one. Massive move down, had a bit of a bear rally and down. Let's take a look at the daily chart. You can see that same thing. We had a big move down, inside candle, another move down. We got a support in place here. I think there's a nice support area right around that, below that 107 area. As long as it stays above, it's fine. If it breaks below, then we want to be taking a look at your dollar to the short side. Now, let's talk about the best case scenario. Well, market's looking pretty bullish. I think the market is likely to stay bullish. Now, does Aussie has a chance here? Well, if you take a look at the Aussie daily chart, it doesn't look good. Today's price action was not good. If I take a look at the weekly chart, kind of indecisive here as well. So if there is a reversal in the Aussie, I think we probably want to take a look at Aussie against Swiss franc. That was one of the setups I had on Wednesday. Had moved nicely early in the week. And then we actually just got this, we got a nice little breakout here. Everything was looking promising, and we got a big pullback here. Now, the question is that a buying opportunity? Well, you can see that here we are in the chart here. We got a clear resistance at about 58.25 area. And the bottom side is about 56.80. So this is kind of like in the middle point here. We'll see. This is the exponential moving average. If it gives up this area, the support here about 57.40 area, then it's probably heading down. If this sort of have another inside candle or, try to recover next week, I think this could be setting up for a nice potential breakout as well. So I really like the Aussie Swiss franc based on that premise. Now we can also take a look at Kiwi Swiss franc. Looks very similar as well. As you can see, this thing is now above this exponential moving average. Parabolic SAR is turning higher as well. So this is the one that I really like, especially if in the next month or two, if we continue to see that risk on rally in the markets. Now that's the outlook for next week. Risk on sentiment, dollar and the yields you want to pay close attention to. If the yields continues to pull back, even if the dollar start to pull back, I think they'll just give it more confirmation here. So look for those levels to be broken to get confirmation. Still looking for opportunities around news events. There's still a bit of a news catalyst, but I think since we have this election behind us, we got the FOMC behind us, we would potentially, we'll see markets kind of moving on its own. But pay attention to those inflation numbers next week. So that's the outlook. Happy trading, and we'll see you in the next week. Have a good weekend. Cheers.